What's up guys, it's Josh from Soul Studios. I want to do a separate review of the Highland Dynamics BG2, and I used it in the RS124 Hardware Shootout. So in that video you got to hear it on acoustic, bass, vocals, and I think you heard more of the traditional side of what an RS124 can do, and the BG2 is more than capable of doing that. But on this review, I want to go in a little bit different direction and show you some of the ways that I use it that I'm not able to use other RS124 units. There's some pretty unique features that separate it that I think are cool. So let's jump right in. I've got a song from the group BAT LANYARD. My buddy Matt let me borrow this BG2, so this is his. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it. And so this is his band, and we're gonna work on the song called No Matter today a little bit. I'm gonna start with kick drum, and we'll just build out the song and show a wide range of what the BG2 can do. All right, let's move on to snare next. And some people may not think of an RS124 as a drum compressor. You may think of something like an 1176 or a distressor, but I really like it on drums and the slower attack and sometimes a slower release. Like on the kick, I was sustaining out just long enough before the next kick would hit. Can help draw out the tail of a kick or a snare. And especially on a song like this, I'm wanting a little more lo-fi kind of thud, more drum hit than as opposed to some big, sample like crack. So let's see what we can find on snare here. All right, next on a drum room mic, I want to show how you can use the BG2 with the compression off. So you're just driving the tubes and the transformers to get some interesting saturation. So check this out. I'm going to commit that sound on both the room mics so that we can sort of blend that up underneath and bring some energy throughout the song. All right, moving on to bass, and I thought the BG2 sounded awesome on everything on the RS124 Shootout, but bass in particular, I thought it did something special. So let's see what we can get here. So one of the coolest things with the BG2 is it has some really slow release time. So when you get to the two slowest settings, you can have the bass hanging out within like a 1 to 2 dB range pretty much the whole time to have that low end sit consistently. But let's experiment a little bit more with different settings and settle on something. So I'm actually settling on what I find to be the cleanest settings on the BG2, which is British mode, 600 ohms. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to do a compressed bass, but then I want to do a saturated bass with the compression off mode and then blend that up underneath like a parallel track. So let's do that and see what happens. One cool thing that I'm noticing is that when you're in the compression off mode and just saturating, the American and British settings still affect the color of the signal as well as the 150 and 600 ohm settings. So even within that saturation mode, you have 4 different tonal variations. So that's awesome. I like the American. It tends to be a little bit more aggressive. So I'm going to go with that here. And then after this commits, I'll start with the saturated bass all the way down and then slowly blend it up and see what could be cool there. So that's cool, just a little more sustain and grit out of the bass, which I think will be useful as this mix builds out. So I love that. I love having the option to use it as a compressor and then as something totally different to saturate and just create other textures. All right, let's check out one of the cleaner electrics and see what we can get there. I like subtle compression here and a slower release. So the guitar is just kind of dancing with the strumming pattern of the way it was played. So I think we'll stick with this and then move along. All right, guys, I got lost in playing with the BG2 here. This is pretty normal for the channel, and I don't want to give you guys 2-hour-long videos. So I skipped ahead a little bit. I went ahead and found a setting that I liked on all the guitar tracks and all the synth tracks and committed those. I did want to show you something on the synth real quick. Depending on the part, I would alternate between compression and then the compression off setting using the saturation. So this is the keyboard before the BG2. And this is through the saturation mode. It just breaks up in such a cool way, even in the really low frequencies that you could hear there. And like I mentioned before, changing between the British and American settings and the 150 and 600 ohms, you really have 4 different styles of saturation that you can experiment with there. And for some tracks, I liked British. It's a little more mild on the top end. And then for parts like this that I wanted to poke out, I would use American, which had a little bit brighter saturation. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna open the vocal. And I did something cool here. I had an idea about doing saturated vocals and then using those sort of like a tape slap delay, which I think will fit this style pretty well. So I printed a couple of those, which I'll solo out and show you here in a minute. I'm gonna start with a more subtle compression setting, which normally for me with this unit is British mode, 600 ohms, slow attack, and I'll dial up, you know, to more aggressive and then settle on something that best fits the song. But anyway, everything that you hear instrument-wise during this part has been processed through the BG2 already. So let's work the vocal in with everything else.
Oh no, it feels good. It's happening again. Has anybody lost a broken friend? The fever is breaking. I wanted to attend. Why not sit up waiting for the end? No matter what you wanted to get out, you got your head inside the clouds. No matter what they tell you when you're down, you shout, you shout, you shout. Breaking the pavement, confidence again. People always find their way back in. Is it all just talk? Is it rearranged? I know that life is super strange. I know something is better than nothing. No matter what you wanted to get out, you got your head inside the clouds. No matter what they tell you when you're down, you shout, you shout, you shout. In the middle you find you're on your own. No matter what you wanted to get out, you got your head inside the clouds. No matter what they tell you when you're down, you shout, you shout, you shout. Something easy when it's gonna be hard. Tom said the
So I like American mode, 150 ohms, which is the most aggressive and a little bit brighter. And I think I settled on 3 for the release. But let me show you a couple things I'm gonna blend in here. So I'll start with the solo vocal, which has a little bit of plate from the PCM 80. There was also a reverb that was printed with the session and SPX 92 symphonic for effects. And then I'm gonna bring in these slap delays that I made with the BG2.
oh no, it feels good. It's happening again. Has anybody lost a broken friend? The fever is breaking. I wanted to attend. Why not sit up waiting for the end? No matter what you wanted to get out, you got your head inside the cloud.
I also did just a saturated vocal that I want to blend underneath a parallel processing. So let's hear that soloed.
Oh no, it feels good. It's happening again. Has anybody lost a broken friend? Oh no, it feels good. It's happening again. Has anybody lost a broken friend? The fever is breaking. I wanted to attend. Why not sit up waiting for the end?
So everything you're hearing now is just the BG2. I took out the other effects. And what I mean by creating those slap vocals, so I printed them through the BG2 in the compression off saturation mode. And then I slid one back a 16th note and one back as an 8th note and panned them left and right. And then the saturated vocal is just still in time with the lead and just a parallel sort of exciter track.
Oh no, it feels good. It's happening again. Has anybody lost a broken friend? The fever is breaking. I wanted to attend. Why not sit up waiting for the end? No matter what you wanted to get out, you got your head inside the clouds. No matter what they tell you when you're down, you shout, you shout, you shout. Breaking the pavement, confident again. People will always find their way back in. Is it all just talk? Is it rearranged? I know that life is super strange. I know something is better than nothing. No matter what you wanted to get out, you got your head inside the clouds. No matter what they tell you when you're down, you shout, you shout, you shout. In the middle you find you're on your own. No matter what you wanted to get out, you got your head inside the clouds. No matter what they tell you when you're down, you shout, you shout, you shout. Something easy when it's gonna be hard. Tom said the waiting is the hardest part. Does anybody in here care what people think?
So I could go on forever about this. I just want to scroll across the session and show you here. I mean, I've got very little going on. There were some existing gates that were on the drum that I left. And then I just did, one instance of EQ here and there. Some of these EQs came with the session, so I left them for guitars. And then outside of that, I just shaped things with the BG2 to help them fit. And so for me, with hardware like this, I don't mind spending a little time committing these tracks on the front end of the session. And then like now is how I would really start the mix, get into automation and different things. This box is so versatile with the two different British and American modes, being able to turn compression off. And so, like I said, I don't mind spending the extra time to commit a little bit on the front end. And this is how I mix in my normal workflow. I will commit hardware where I think it will be beneficial before I get started. an RS124 a lot of times, and the way that I've used it on other ones is a little more subtle acoustic piano, singer-songwriter based stuff, which it totally shines on. But I was so glad when Matt sent me this song that it was completely different, because it pushed me to try and use this style of compressor in a different way. And I think it just shined. Like I would be so happy to use it on any style of music. The BG2 can be thick, aggressive. I hadn't even thought before about making like a cool slap delay with it, but I think that's as cool and as vibey as any, especially tape plugin that you're going to use. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Now, here's the bad news. And I share this with you because I'm in the same boat. My problem is now I need a BG2 in my life, and this is not my BG2. So unfortunately, I have to send this back. So there can be a little bit of wait time sometimes to get BG2s these days. And so I do want to point you in the right direction of where you can find one. Uniform Music is the exclusive dealer, I believe, for Highland Dynamics now. What I would do is go to uniformmusic.com and reach out, as well as follow Highland Dynamics on Instagram, and it's Uniform Music LA on Instagram. Those are going to be the places you can keep up when things are in stock. Something I mentioned in the RS124 Hardware Shootout, there's actually a Mark II version of the BG2 now that has some faster times. Okay, so if you look at the front panel of this compared to the unit that I have here, there's a sidechain filter as well as faster attack times. I believe there's a couple of faster attack times than are on this Mark I version. You still have the compressor off where you can just do the saturation mode. I am definitely going to get my hands on one of these Mark II versions soon, because just thinking about a little bit faster times too, I can't even imagine like taking this thing to another level. So actually, let me read this to you. The new BG Mark II is here. Same exact components, built by Bryce himself. He's added a few extra controls, 5 attack times with compression offsetting. Gives you very fast attack in the fast setting. 2 and 3 are the old fast and slow settings. 4 is a very slow setting, and 5 is extremely slow. 9 release times. There's now is a very fast release, giving you very aggressive drum sounds and compression and hugging vocals. Also a few extras in between sidechain filters. Bass guitar has been popular with the BG2. I totally agree with that. And also drum bus or full mix bus. Adding a few sidechain filter settings really transforms the BG2, letting subs or low end through without triggering the compression. So anyway, I'm floored by the Mark I, and so just imagine even better with more functionality and options. So maybe let me figure out about ordering a Mark II for myself, and then right after that, go place your order. So anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate your time. And if you like what you saw here and look forward to more content like this, go ahead and subscribe before you leave, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, thanks for your time. I'll see you again soon. Take care.